for a presentation at the annual program. And then I left back to Nigeria, and then I came back in February 2005 for 6 presentations at different conferences in America in 6 weeks. So if you have any professor, you tell them someone does this, they tell you, no, it's not possible. I'm not a doer. Krishna is simply using me as an instrument. So I have over 35 publications in peer-reviewed international journals, and I travel around mainly educating people on the process of Krishna consciousness using the language that best suits them for understanding and acceptance. I'll give you an example of that. On June 2021, I had a presentation in London at the World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology, and it was on how chanting prevents financial fraud. But it was put in the language of the management scientists. How is that? The theme of that presentation was Sonic Therapeutic Intervention for Preventing Financial Fraud, a phenomenological study. After the presentation, the professors who organized that program, they gave an award to the presentation as the best presentation award. So they gave me a certificate for that. But the whole content is about how the chanting of the Hare Krishna, one of the positive side effects is that it makes people to have self-control, self-leadership that deters them from ever engaging in crimes such as financial crime. Yeah, I have that on the web. If you go to the website of the World Academy of Science, Engineering, and Technology, you can download that. In fact, from 2021, June to this date, 705 professors have downloaded that paper. It means 705 professors are romancing with the holy names. And you know what it takes, the effects of associating with Krishna. So these are the type of things I do. I travel around, and I'm a U.S. citizen because when I came to the U.S. I presented at those conferences. Some of my friends requested me to stay behind to help with academic preaching programs. In fact, I was for 2 years or so. I was at New Jersey Tobacco Temple. In fact, I was here when my Guru Maharaj was leaving his body. I was there in Gita, and after that, I moved to Tobacco Temple. In 2009, I left for India for my science initiation, Bhakti Sastri, and 5 presentations at different universities, different conferences in India in 6 months, in 2 months. So people go to India for purification. My first step of touching Indian soil was to do service in respect to my area of preaching. 5 presentations at different universities, different conferences in 2 months. In fact, I remember one of the conferences was conflicting with my Bhakti Sastri exam. So I told, this is what is happening. What shall I do? He said, hey, Vasudev, go to this conference. I said, why? I'll miss the exam. He said, we are training the devotees to have the skills you have, to be able to use this philosophy to provide solutions to global issues. You're already doing that. You cannot stop because of this Bhakti Sastri exam. Of course, they didn't give me any marks for that, but I still passed. So this is my story. And I can't talk without giving some eulogy to, I also have a family here. My family is Vilas Manjari and her family. I lived with her and her family for donkey years. Second family is Sanatan Prabhu. It was formerly Sona. I also lived with him when I was terribly sick. In fact, my liver doctors are in the Queens area. So I suffered terribly when I was here, but by Krishna's grace, I was rescued by the special mercy of all of you. And the miraculous thing is that, see, I had my liver problem resulted to liver cirrhosis, stage 4. Now, after stage 4, you go into liver cancer and you're bound to go and kiss Yamaraj's feet. But you know what? And there is no cure for cirrhosis up till now. So somehow or the other, I went to India, and one of my mentees, she's an ophthalmologist, a young doctor. She took me to an Ayurvedic doctor, and I started taking some treatment. And today I can tell you, cirrhosis 0. So, without wasting much of your time, let's go into the business of today.
One small announcement.
Okay.
Before Mark starts speaking, could you guys move forward a little bit? There's a lot of space that's not being used.
Ari's vegetarian, no worries.
I do have, a number of companions here, especially devotees from Sanatan family and Vilas Manjari. I also have initiated some few initiated devotees in the area. One of them is Dr. Govinda Lilamita. She has a PhD in law. So today's topic is, what is it?
Community building.
Community building.
Very well.
Are you recording this talk?
Yes.
Okay. So community, etymologically, community comes from 2 words. By that I mean the root words in community building. There are 2 words. They are derived from, community building is derived from 2 words, or community is derived from 2 words. One is commune. In other words, empathic communication. We have to think about how we communicate. Is it something that is appealing to the other person, or is it something that will hurt the other person? That is to commune. And the other is unity. We all know what is unity. Is there anyone here who doesn't know what the meaning of unity? Working together. So community implies, people, individuals coming together to work for purposeful end. And we have the family as the microcosm of the community, of the nation. And therefore, if we find cordial relationships, peace and love in the families, our communities will flourish like you can never imagine. But if there is so much of fighting and dissonance in the families, I can assure you, I can guarantee you that communities will be fragmented. In fact, 40% of communities on the globe are fragmented, despite the global connectivity that is pervasive all over the world. So first, if we have to make a presentation, the first question in academia is, hey, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Or you want to repeat some things like a parrot? We call that parrotologist. I'm not here to exhibit or to be part of a parrotology, but we're here to address issues that are really like confronting our own societies too. I've traveled around and I've seen different scenarios that even our own movement, we have the highest philosophy, but there is so much to do in terms of improving our values to be able to work together, relate with each other, communicate empathically so as to engender a positive spiritual change in our communities. So, community is a big thing in academia. Community building is a big thing. Our community development is a big thing. But because we have so much of intrapersonal conflict, in other words, conflicts within us, endogenous conflicts, we do have so much of endogenous or intrapersonal conflicts. And these create an obstacle in terms of how we relate with people, even with our families, how we relate with each other. So, there are other types of conflicts that checkmate our desire to be able to have unity in the families. I'm talking about the family because that is the minuscule of a community. Because a community is simply made up of, constitute of different families. But we always say, well, I'm a brahmachari. Yeah, but you're not born from fire. You didn't break out from firewood. Like, you came from a family. You came from a family. So, we have to understand that the challenges we face, they are not peculiar to us. They are global issues, or they are global concern. And so in research, we have what we call a general problem and a specific problem. So conflicts are a general problem, and at the same time, they are specific problems. They're specific problems in the sense that each and every one of us, we encounter or we experience some conflicts within us. The super soul suggesting to us to do one thing, the mind comes heavy, pushing us to do the other thing. And we do the wrong thing, and we say, oh no, how did this happen? Or we hurt somebody, and then we say, oh, I'm sorry. And I've seen people, when I was working with the judiciary, I've seen people who come to court. They are accused of some crime, and they're prosecuted, they're found guilty, and then the judge says, so, are you guilty or not? I said, I'm guilty with reasons. Good for you. So, sometimes we do the things that we don't desire even to do. And there are a number of reasons for that. In fact, Arjuna asked Krishna about this. What is it that forces someone to do things against their better judgment? I am just polishing that statement, paraphrasing it. But this is the essence of what Arjuna was asking. He asked, what is it that forces humans, we conditioned souls, to do things against our better judgment? And then we regret about it later. So these type of situations are counterproductive to community development, because we hurt somebody, and they may maintain some grudges. Not everyone comes up to speak out. So I'll give you an example. There was this 8-year-old girl in Laguna Beach, and the father told me this story. I was in Laguna Beach for a class, or one of the festivals, I think Ramnomi, some few years ago. And before I could get down from the yasa, this gentleman came to me and said, blah, 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 blah. I did this. When I came back from one day, I just rained abuses, tantrums on my daughter, 8-year-old daughter. He said the girl was completely patient, quiet all through when he was throwing the tantrum. Some days had passed. They were eating together, smiling and enjoying themselves. Child and father, daughter and father. This 8-year-old girl came up with this story. Dad, you remember the other day, you came back from office and you rained all type of abuses on me. Did you have any fight with somebody in the office that day? 8-year-old girl. This is not Puranic story. You say, oh, those period people were very pure, and it's okay. The children, they can act like this. This is in Kali Yoga. And we call this a strategy for resolving deep-rooted conflicts. I don't know where the girl got this idea. But then first, the girl aligned with Krishna's instruction in the Gita, Tam Titikshaswa Bharata. tolerate. Yeah, she tolerated. But, sometimes we miscue. We think tolerance means anything other than just to absorb the energy, the negative energies, and then live with that, and then live with that trauma. No. So the girl did the opposite. She tolerated, she followed Christian's instruction. She tolerated all the insults, abuses from the father. Very un-American. Because a typical American girl of that age will call the police and the father goes to jail. It's abuse. And the government doesn't want to hear cases of abuse on children. But she's a Packer child. She was protecting the father too. So she asked the father, and the father said, yes. I had a fight with my director, had a fight with my colleagues, my team members. So this is what happens when you have so much of fight out there in the office with your colleagues or with your boss, and you don't have someone to share that negative implosion. Someone will be at the brunt. It's called passing the buck. So you pass the buck to some innocent person who will be wondering, what the hell? What did I do? Some things have been going on. Trauma has been going on in this person's mind. And now he has seen somewhere to download it, to offload it. And someone bears the brunt. And it could lead you to jail. I remember I had a friend who was married to a psychiatric doctor. He's a PhD too. And the both of them, they hardly will even meet. The psychiatric doctor comes late most times. This professor, he comes late most times. Because I was close to the family. You know what she does? She's very smart. Almost every day she will call me on the phone and tell me all the challenges she passed through in the office. This argument, this situation, that situation. But you know what she was doing? It's only a real practitioner of psychology can understand. She's trying to diffuse that trauma that she was carrying by sharing it with somebody, by sharing that negative situation with somebody. When you share your experiences with somebody, the traumatic effect of a negative experience becomes reduced almost to half. So, take for instance, if you have a quarter size of paper and your friend wants to use the paper to, write something for somebody. Say he wants to use the paper to write an address for somebody. So you divide this quarter size paper into two and give to your friend half of it. You no longer have a full quarter sheet of paper. You have half sheet of paper. This is what goes on when we share our traumatic experience with somebody we trust, someone we can confide in. Rupa Goswami mentions about having a confidant. Rupa didn't mention the reason, but this is the reason. And so some of the instructions we receive in our own Vedic literature, and we may think, what's the use? But yeah, when you go, if you go broader and higher and deeper in your study spectrum, you come to understand the instructions given to us by the Acharya. They are purely scientific. So Rupa Goswami mentions about this sharing of concept in his Upadhyamrita, that we should have confidence. And so this is a building block for community building. Because if you can have somebody whom you can relate with, and then share your challenges with that person, share your happiness with that person, you're doing a lot of good, psychological and physical good to yourself and the community. How many people among us have confidence? That is the question. I met a boy sometime at Seattle, Washington State. He was living in the Baptist Center as a brahmachari. So he told me we had a program, and then I was going around after the program to talk to people one to one. So he told me he left the Baptist Center, he left the the brahmachari ashram. I said, why? You're in a good place. He said, because I didn't have any friends. You didn't have any friends. So we have to understand, do we want to build a strong, virile communities? We have to create some friendly relationships. Otherwise, some devotees will stay for some times and they will leave. Because we are social animals. We can't be isolated. In a prison, if this is wrong, as a lawyer here, you can correct me. In a prison, when they want to punish a prisoner, they put him or her in isolation. And very quickly, he or she will commit suicide. This is what some of our devotees are passing through. Living in a community, but isolated. And therefore, we need to understand that community means personal effort and collective efforts. Now, the good news is that Bhakti Swami has given us some clue about all these challenges or how to really build a community from our own personal level. So I like to get into that. I'm not very good at cramming, so I wrote that down here. Let me just go through it. So he talked about 4 principles in community building. 1, treat everyone you encounter as if the success or failure of your spiritual life depends on the quality of your interactions with them. So I remember I was in Montreal some years ago. I was visiting Montreal, and one brahmachari was leading a team of devotees for Harinam and book distribution. So when they came to Montreal, he came to meet me. He said, Maharaj, how can I help these devotees who are traveling with me in their Krishna consciousness so that they can remain and sustain their devotional values? I said, oh, I have the answer to it. You ready for it? He said, yes. I said, okay. These devotees and this principle that I gave to him is one of the 4 strategies or constitute one of the models or one of the strategies that Bhakti Swami gave in his model for, we call this models in the management science. So in this model, he also mentioned about how to treat people in a very loving way. And here, the very first strategy of this model is that we have to see how we are being available for people, treating people nicely, in such a way that our success, the success in our spiritual endeavor, depends on the quality of the interactions we have with these people. In other words, we should give people quality time. Because, see, I can claim to be very busy. In fact, if I don't want to go to any place, I got invitations to come here, come to this place, Germany, Fiji, and all this. I'm also a research fellow. I can give you an excuse why I would not come to your country, or why I would not come to a particular place. And when I give you the excuse, you will say, yeah, man, I'm just so busy. Okay, we'll leave you alone. I remember when I was even younger, a brahmachari here, some devotees used to invite me to come to their temples. I said, I cannot come. He said, why? I said, I don't have any relationship with somebody there. I said, I don't have friends. I remember one time I went to New Vrindavan. I think there was some festival. So I gave a talk, I gave a Bhagavatam class, and one of Prabhupada's disciples, he raised up his hand and said, Maharaj, you see, your Guru Maharaj used to stay here for a long time. You never came to stay in New Vrindavan. After Bhagavatam class, during question and answer, that was his question. I said, I don't go to places and stay if I don't have a friend. If I don't have a relationship, I don't go there. I said, I'm not the Swami who enjoys Jai Maharaj business. No. What will I do with that? What will I do with the Jai Maharaj? It's not going to help the devotee. It's not going to help me also. So, because that official relationship, you can't come to me to tell me your problems. And I have a chunk of strategies and information to help out. If you don't come close to me, how are you going to tell me your challenges? You don't meet someone on the street and tell them, hey, Joe, please, this is my problem. They will say, come on, you crazy? Yeah, so the way we treat each other matters a lot in our devotional culture. And that is a major determinant in the success of our devotional endeavors. So we should bear that in mind. I read it again. Treat everyone you encounter as if the success and failure of your spiritual life depends on the quality of your interactions with them. So, strategy number 2. Think of the person you love most and aspire to treat everyone with same quality of love. This is exactly what I told that guy, but paraphrasing my own words. When he told me, he came to seek for advice about what he could do to help the devotees traveling with him on Sankirtan and Harinam. I said, you have a younger brother at home? He said, yes. I asked him, you love him? He said, yes. I said, so all these devotees traveling with you, you should love them, treat them the way you treat your beloved younger brother. Guess his response. Yes, tell me. Guess his response.
Just to beat him?
Oh, no. Yes, guess his response. I like asking questions. It's called critical and creative thinking exercises. Yes, Bolo.
Okay.
What do you think he said?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Raja?
I had the same answer as him, Maharaj. The beating.
Yeah, dog?
Maybe that he didn't know them as well.
Maybe?
That he didn't know them.
He didn't know them? Okay. Yeah, these responses are very nice. They're very enticing. And I would like to add that, this guy, he looked at me right in my face, and he said, Maharaj, this is very difficult. I said, but you sit down on the asana and you say, Krishna said, Mama evam so jiva loka jiva buddha sanatana. Is that not correct? He said, yes. But to put it to practice is very difficult, he said. And it's true, he was just being sincere. We have the best philosophy. Prabhupada has given us the best. And if we practice even just not a whole sloka, one line, each of the slokas in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 lines. Is it correct? Most of them, 4 lines. If we can practice only one line, our communities will be so positively transformed. Oh, yeah. Think of the person, number 2. Think of the person you love the most and aspire to treat everyone with that same quality of love. If we think about that, yeah, it might be difficult, but it should be easier for us, the devotees, because we preach this concept of we are a family. If you think we don't use these words, this is exactly what we are saying when we say, Mama evam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. And Krishna also said, I am the seed-giving father of all beings. Why do we understand by these statements? It means we are a family. Are we treating each other as a family? Yes? No. Yes? No. Yes? No. Yes? Are we treating each other as a family based on your lived experience? No. But then the instructions are there. We can't say Prabhupada did not give us the tools. Prabhupada has given us the tools. It's a matter of implementing. We have to go beyond the stage of paratology to the stage of application. Each time we have a concept or a construct to discuss, or Krishna delineates a particular concept or construct, now the commentaries of the acharyas, they deliberated on that and generated some type of spiritual information culture for us to digest and see how we can understand it in a simple way. Now, the first framework is Krishna's instruction, Krishna's strategy, or Krishna's model, or Krishna's theory. The second is the contemporary ideologies about that very concept. So the acharyas, they give us the contemporary ideologies. Now, what is happening in our society is that in most cases, we don't go to the third stage, which is applications. Applications is basically the integration of the theoretical concepts and the commentaries of the acharyas. In other words, it's integration of the Shruti and the Smriti. Just simple as. We want to build virile communities. We need to do this. So we need to put all of these constructs, these amazing principles that our spiritual masters have given to us, spiritual teachers have given to us. We need to put that in practice. We need to put what Krishna has stated in practice. And I always like to refer to this very concept of Krishna, this statement of Krishna that everyone is his part and parcels. Let's get these points clear. If everyone is a part, Krishna is our father, it means we are a family. Is that not correct? Yeah. My goodness. We are a family. So we should practice to treat each other as a member of one family. This is how to build our devotional communities. It's not some high-tech thing that you need to go and get, some PhD in this field or that field. It's just a very simple strategy to implement. It's a very simple strategy to implement. And if you treat even your children, in most cases, the parents are the worst situations. Because the parents, in most cases, they always think they're righteous. They're always right. If they yell at their child unduly, they feel that they're right. But no, we are fallible, and we should live our lives based on fallibilistic flexibility. We should understand we are fallible, and we should create some flexibility in our lives based on adhering and addressing loopholes in our lives because we are fallible. You can say that you are always right or your child is always wrong. And I've seen cases where children are 35 years old and the parents are controlling them. My friend, I don't want to mention the country, but I have a friend, he has a PhD in mathematics. And so he told me the story how if he goes home to visit his parents, and then 6 p.m., he's going out. The mother comes to, cross him and say, where are you going? This is 6 o'clock. 80 years old, a mathematician, a PhD in mathematics. This is what is happening on this planet. So I'm not just, saying something from the blues. I'm talking about what is transpiring on this planet, what is transpiring even in our own societies. I was in London before I came back to the US. So one lady who came cooking for me, she's initiated. She told me something. I don't like to repeat this type of stories because it's very disgusting. And she told me something. She said, "Oh, uh, you're so free with us." She said, because some devotees that she came with are my mentees. And so she said, "You're so free with us. My Guru Maharaj used to respond to my messages before, but after initiation, I don't hear from him anymore." That's not a good remark. That's not a good remark. I mean, it's like a lady wants to woo a man into marriage, or a man wants to woo a lady into marriage. They dress very nicely, to attract the person. And when they get married, dressing nicely becomes, dump the idea in the dustbin. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it happens like that. But, we should be alert. We should not fake anything. We should live our lives naturally. And where we find some improvements in needs regarding how to improve our relationship with our family members, with our friends, in our communities, we should do that because it takes one-on-one. And if we are always thinking that, we love this person very dearly, and we don't, then we're thinking, this person is my enemy, he's my enemy, she's my, he did this to me, he did this to me. But there's someone you love so dearly, unconditionally in your life. So Bhagavad Swami is saying, we should extend that phenomenon of love, that practice, to each and everyone. In other words, to all and sundry. At best, we should aspire to do that. He didn't say just wake up one day and then become like this. But by his own words, he said, aspire to do it. And so the third strategy, what's the time now?
7:55.
What time are we supposed to stop? Whenever I want. Not whenever I want.
We start at 7:15 to 8:15.
I know people have, they have things to do, and especially in New York, in America, In India, it's a common disease, a common thing. You go to some temple, they ask you to give a class. You want to start a class, and you ask, yes, what time is this class stopping? When are we stopping the class? I remember several places I've been to India. You know the response? They tell you, Mother, you're not in America. That's what they told you. This is India. This is not America. Go on and give a class as much as you want. So America is known for being time oriented, time effective, and all this thing. So we can't say anytime I like. No, people have their respective obligations and things to do. So the third strategy of Bhakti Swami's conflict resolution model is view all conflicts as your own faults. This is tough, right? When something happens with your loved ones, with your family members, first, you should think, I am at fault. I'm at fault. Otherwise, he wouldn't have acted like this, or she wouldn't have acted like this. And look, this is not just some documentary. This is not some information that is embedded in the literature. He taught us to practically, live this type of life. See, I told my mentees, and she's here. I told my mentees, if I do something wrong, if I say something wrong, you tell me. I remember I was to go to one country. At that time, there were some young devotees aspiring for me in that country. They were like in the final year in HSC, 17 years old, one boy and one girl. They wrote me. I've scheduled my time of going there, the date of going. They wrote me to say, Maharaj, don't come to this country at this stipulated date. Imagine a 17 years old girl writing a guru, a swami, a PhD, giving instructions. Don't come. But this is how I trained them, that voice out. Even your father, in most cases, you can't say things you don't like to them. And I've seen this as I travel around some of the places, some of the families I've been to. The children come behind to tell me some things. And when I'm speaking with the parents, they ask, "Oh, Maharaj, did my child tell you anything?" I said, "No, your child did not tell me anything. I'm just speaking in general. This is my experience as I travel around. You want to get some clue to go and victimize the child, which is not a good frame of mind." And so, the bottom line is that when we do have a misunderstanding, someone has to take the blame. The one who has a higher consciousness should take the blame. So when those kids wrote me and said, "Don't come," I wrote back, "Why not?" They said, "We're having exams. And when you come, we will not be able to come and associate with you. So we'll be cheated." I said, "Oh, this is a good reason." Okay, trip canceled. I canceled it. This is not Purana. I canceled the trip because of two 17-year-olds who told me I should not come. And the reason why they said I shouldn't come. Yeah. So, regarding conflicts, we may have conflicts with anybody. Even I had conflicts with my own biological father. Even as a child. Yeah. Even in high school, I used to have conflicts with my father. He was an educator until he died, but I used to have conflicts with him. And he shared my views sometimes. I remember also when I became a devotee, when I took Seance, Order of Life, and I was traveling, I went to Nigeria one time. One of my friends invited me, he's a professor, he invited me to his university for a presentation. So I went there. Then he put me on TV, on a TV program. So I think, my father or his family members, they saw me and they told him, and he had my phone number. So he called me. He said, "Boy, you are in the area. When are you coming home?" I said, "Dad, see, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Then I will come." He said, "Boy, you are right." Yeah, he never forced himself on me. We had conflicts, but he never forced himself on me. And I respected him for that. I remember when I joined the movement, I was working with the Department of Justice and then left the job, joined the movement. For a donkey years, over 10 years, I think 16 years or so, I never communicated with anyone in the family. Why? Because I was afraid of my father's younger brother. Our love was so intense. And I can't stand to tell him no for anything. Therefore, I avoided them completely. I thought, let me be strong in Krishna consciousness. Then one day I will storm there with some devotees and for them to see. So I saw one gentleman from my father's compound one time when I was traveling in Nigeria. And he said, "Please, please, 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 just write a short note. If even it's 2 words that you met me, and give it to me, I'll give it to your father." So I did that. And then I wrote my address, our temple address, also postal address down. So I gave it to this young man, and then he went to give it to my father. "I saw your son." So he was saying, "What?" So he said, "You can write it." So then he wrote me, and then what was the content of his message? He said, "Dear son," I remember the very first paragraph. He said, "I know you better than you know yourself. You can't choose to do anything wrong in your life. Therefore, whatever you're doing, I'm praying for your success." That's what he told her. His younger sister wanted the husband. Husband was a military guy. He's late now. Husband was a military guy. The younger sister wanted the military guy and the husband to come and pull me out from ISKCON. So the husband was very intelligent, The husband said, look, you're my wife. I love you. You tell me anything, I'll do for you. But I have a question for you. You show me one person in your family who is as intelligent as that your nephew. Show me one person, then I'll go and drag him out with my military force. She kept quiet. That's how I was not bulldozed out of his country. So Krishna saved me. But, the bottom line is that when we do have conflicts, we should understand that we cannot be perfect. To resolve the conflicts, we should see the cause of the conflict as coming from us. And we can politely ask the person, tell the person, I'm sorry, I'm the cause of these problems. I really want our relationships to be sustained. Maybe you can tell me any ways I can improve on my behavior so as to engender a more positive relationship. Now, people are always thinking they're right. And when you tell someone something like that, their ego will be deflated because they come for a fight. And they think that when they agitate you, you are going to be reactive. But here you are being proactive. So this statement simply is, we call it in management science, proaction. There are two ways to respond to situations. There is reaction and there is proaction. Proaction means someone comes to poke you, to agitate you, and you think, first thought, how am I going to help this person? It's like the girl in Laguna Beach, when the father came home to poke her, she could call the police and put him to jail. But she thought, what's the best way to help that? She kept quiet, tolerated the situation. When the anger has died down, temperament has calmed down, some days had even passed, she opened up the closed page with the father. When you don't open up with somebody to resolve the conflict, it will traumatize you. This is one of the effects of so-called tolerance without addressing the issue. Because some of the trauma, they just keep accumulating. And then one day that same person does something very little, or somebody else in the family, or somebody else in the community, and you spark up. You download all of your trauma on that person. It's called passing the buck. You pass the buck on an supposedly innocent being. And so, when we do have conflicts, people can pass the buck on us, and that could generate conflict. When we do have those type of situations, we should take a humble position, be proactive. And then the fourth strategy is realize that people in your present environment might very well be the people with whom you will live out your life and who are likely to be with you at the time of death. And we have seen this a lot in our movement. Some devotees may have an accident and they are terminally, wounded. The people who come around may not be their immediate family members. People that they never envisaged will come around and be with them at their last breath. We've seen that a lot. And so we have to be able to view each other as members of the Krishna family, view each other as our brothers and sisters, and treat people as spiritualists, not as materialists. The materialists, when they see you, they want to figure out, what can I get from this person? They want to expunge you, squeeze you, get something from you. A devotee should be thinking, what's the best way to serve this? So, what's the best way to help this person? And if we do give quality time to people, and sometimes I've seen this a lot. See, I was in Mayapur. For 2 years, 7 months. I was in Vrindavan for 1 year because I went and then the COVID broke out there in India, and then everything was sealed up. So in Mayapur, I built a lot of relationships with people, and I went for one program one day. One of my friends the doctor, his wife used to cook for me too. And so after the program, I was going around, meeting with people one-on-one. So I met this doctor's wife. I said, "Hey, Mataji, your Prabhu is teaching you nicely?" She said, "No." And for an Indian woman, that is very, very strange. Because Indian women, they are very, very tolerant. They're very, very reserved, conserved, talk about anything, conservation. This is Indian women. But when they do have someone in their life, they can open up to, they're good to go. So I went around and then met the doctor, the wife, the husband, and said, "Hey, this is what your wife just told me. Hey, come here, let's go see her." So I dragged the doctor, we came meet her. And then I said, "Mataji, repeat what you said." I said, "He is not treating me nicely." I said, "Why?" "She is not giving me time." He's not giving me time. And it's not the first time I had a lady complain that. I remember also in Delhi, I had a friend, a medical doctor who used to take care of me. And the wife always used to call me to come for lunch and all these things, even when I don't have the time. But I used to squeeze that time to go. So one day I was there. At that time, they had 2 kids. The girl was 10 years old. The boy was 6 or 7 something. The girl was she's very, very intelligent. She was anticipating. She was hoping to go to do medicine like the father. And so before the father came for the lunch, this girl, she's a sneak, hide from the mother. She came to me. She said, "Maharaj, your friend is not treating me nicely. He's not giving me time. He's not playing with me." Complain about the father. So we may think that the money we bring to the table is the be all and end all. But no, we need to give people quality time, especially members of your household. You need to give the members of your household quality time. People you are counseling, you need to give them quality time. Devotees around, you need to give them quality time. Don't just presume that you are the busiest person on the planet and you don't have the time. All of us, we do have the time. It's a matter of prioritizing. Do we care for people as a family? Yes, this is what we need to do. And therefore, it is important for us to understand that community building is not a big stuff. It's not a big thing. The down to earth is just so practical. It begins with individuals sharing and caring. And how would you say you care for somebody, you love somebody, when you don't communicate with the person? Can someone say they love you and there's no communication? You pay obeisance and then they just turn your face away. I love him or I love her, but I pay obeisance and then he turned your face away. I remember this was a common scenario in ISKCON when I was a young brahmachari. So sometimes you pay obeisance to the swamis and before you get up, they're gone. Yeah, so when I met, a person who became later my best scientific friend, Kanamakan Swami Maharaj. So at the brahmachari building in Mayapur. So I have that mindset. I pay obeisance to Swami in ISKCON. When I get up, I don't even look there. I just go because they'll not be there. So then I pay obeisance to Kanamakan Maharaj. Adopt that same principle. So I got up. I looked at him, but then I was going. He said, "Come here." So I went to him and he hugged me. We were talking there for a long time. I said, "What? This person is not from this society, maybe." And I also remember first when I just took sannyas in Mayapur, he was the first Swami who saw me. And we've been friends from that first instance when I met him in Mayapur and he hugged me and we were discussing. So when I just took sannyas and I was coming out from, I was staying with some 4 brahmacharis who came from Chupati. But those boys also, they didn't know that I was taking sannyas. So when the ceremony was over and I carried it down there, then Kamakana Sami Mara was the first person who saw me, and he paid full flood of business. Then I also paid full flood of business. And then he called me over, and then again they hugged him. And we stayed there, we talk. We need people like Kamakana Maharaj. So we like to stop here. The very last thing is I mentioned in the abstract, in the advert, that if we apply Krishna's statement in the Gita, that we are all his parts and parcels. Krishna said, Mama evam so jiva loke. Jiva Buddha Sanatana. Just that line, Mama evam so jiva loke. Everyone is his part and parcels. Krishna, he also said in the Gita, he is the seed-giving Father. He is our Father. We should try not just to recite these statements. We should strive. We should aspire and strategize to live these statements. We should implement these statements in our life. And it should begin in our own communities, the Brahmachari ashram, the families, and all these things, so that people don't leave the movement and say, I left because I don't have any friend. These are the 4 rules, the 4 pillars, the 4 strategies that Bhakti Theta propounded in his model for community development. And this is basically supported by Lord Krishna's very statement in the Bhagavad Gita, that we are all his parts and parcels. So we should love each other, treat each other nicely. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The good thing in ISKCON is that you don't talk and get away. You have to be bombarded with some questions. Yes, so any comment? Any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu.
You ended your talk about friendship.
Yeah.
And I've observed in our society and also in my external, we're a family here, but we all have most of us have brothers and sisters and so on. And I've observed in my brothers and sisters who are not practicing Krishna consciousness that they also have friends. But it seems that to a large extent, their ability to create friendship revolves around shared activities that are centered around sense gratification and a variety of things that they enjoy doing and exchanging and so on. But those friendships become very, very strong, and they continue and they last. And it seems that in our society, because our pleasure is in service, that if we don't have a relationship in which we're serving together, that it's hard to create that kind of bond of friendship that extends and goes beyond a service relationship. And I wondered if you could comment about how, and of course then there's also the question of different tastes and ways of looking at things and so on that may differ. We're looking around the room. I mean, we have the cultures that are in this that we represent here are so diverse.
Yeah.
And so we don't have those shared backgrounds and shared. So how do we address this?
Yeah. Thank you very much for this question. Especially in America, America is epitomized by rugged individualism. And I like rugged individualism like anything, because when I came to America, that was when I learned how to shave myself, that I don't have to depend on anybody. In India and Africa, there are so many people are hanging out that, for them to shave you. Yeah. I remember also one of my friends, he told me when he was in America, early period. So he was working in the gas station, and then he didn't know how to operate some machine there. So he went into the store to call the clerk to come and help him to check out things for him, to show him what to do. And you know what? His response, the guy he went to call, he said, "Hey, you are in America. You have to figure things out yourself." So, and I like that. I like the way that, people create so much of barriers and all these things. That the negative effect is that people who need help and those who should render the help, there is a purple bull of demarcation. In other words, they can't reach out to each other. And therefore, we need to close this gap. And Rupa Goswami mentions how to create relationships. He gives some strategies in the Padisam. Yes, who can tell us?
Dadati pratigranati kuya makiti princhati bhukti bhojanam cheva satvati bhakti.
Yes, translation?
Giving and receiving gifts, sharing one's thoughts, confidential thoughts, and serving and honoring prashadam.
So these things we can always do. It's a matter of putting into practice. See, the point is that if we practice to do, this is not something that we cannot do. These are things that we can do. It's a matter of putting into practice. We read these books, we pass the Bhakti Sastri, we pass this test and pass that course. But the point is that we should practice how to implement Rupa Goswami's instruction. And we see, when you give something to somebody, or when you care for somebody, or you call somebody to your home it's like when I went to New Vrindavan and then I made that statement when they asked me, why are you not coming to stay here longer? Your Guru Maharaj used to come and stay here longer. And I said, I don't have any friend here. And then one of Prabhupada's disciples and his wife, after the class, they came to invite me for lunch. And then after feeding me, they said, now you're our friend. You can't say you will not come to New Vrindavan. And we've been friends since then. So it's a matter of practice. Rupa Goswami has given us how to create. Yeah, Rupa Goswami directly answered this question. How to create loving relationship, friendly relationship. Because it's hurting us. I just told a story of a boy who left the Brahmachari ashram. What was the reason? He didn't fall down. He said he has no friends. Yeah. So we should practice what Rupa Goswami has said, and we'll stand to gain. The strategy has already been given by Rupa Goswami. It's a matter of practice. Practice to give something. Practice to see how you study people and figure out someone, at least in your life, you should have one confidant. Someone you can always vomit everything that you are passing through. But you have to study people. Don't go and meet somebody because they have Kantamala. And then you go and tell all your stuff and then take you to the street. I've seen devotees who left this movement because of that. They tell their confidential matters to someone, or their counselor or whatever, and then the guy takes them to the street. They say, what? These are confidential issues. And he goes to tell other people, their society, I'm going. I have seen that. I've seen some people who left because of that. Because you breach their confidentiality. So we should create an avenue where we can study people. Look at the way. Try the person with a minor confidential thing and see whether they took it to themselves or they went and distributed it. If they take it to themselves, then you should understand it's worth it. It's somebody you can really trust. But, put people into test. Don't just take people based on their face values. So, yeah, Prabhu, the question you asked, rightly answered by Rupa Goswami, is giving us those strategies. We have to develop relationship, how to love each other, and we just need to go to that platform, the third stage, of implementation. This is very, I mean, and I've seen even some temple managements that they do this a lot. They have some competitions or what do you call marathon, and then they appreciate what the devotees have done. That gives a lot of impetus in terms like a motivation to recognition. Is like a motivation to even work harder. Or even the temple management, they like what I'm doing. I mean, it gives you an impetus. And if someone does something good, we should appreciate what they have done. If even your child does something good, don't just look at the fault of your child. The thing that they did and was good, we should appreciate. And that way, the child becomes inspired to do more. If we see, I'll give you an example. I have one cousin. He had a son. He's a mathematician, a school head. So I went to their home when I was younger. I used to visit him, but he's so dumb, he will not take to Krishna consciousness. I'm sorry. But, I'm trying to say that, these people who are so much intelligent, they're too intelligent, especially mathematicians, they think they know everything. So it's a problem. So I went to his place, talking about looking at the good side of people. In fact, what's his name in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, who is an epitome of this very principle? Who remembers his name? Haridas Pandit. Pandit Haridas. He is an epitome of this very principle. He looks for the good in people and ignites it. He looks for the good in people. So I went to meet this cousin, and his first son, they have this external exam they do before going applying to go to universities. So that external exam, you have to get like 6 credits, including English language and mathematics. So I asked the boy, "How was your exams?" He said, "Uncle, I got 5 A's, but I didn't get credit in English, so my father is completely on my nerves." He said his father rained all type of insults on him here and there. So when he showed me that result, I said, "What? 5 A's and you got English P? This is a wonderful result. What you can do is you register for English and focus on English. You will get A for this English too." He turned to me and said, "Uncle, why is your brother not like you?" That's what he told me. I said, "See, our faces are not the same. Our priority sequence varies. We cannot be the same. Don't compare me to your father." So people want that you appreciate what they have done instead of focusing on their fault. And Pandit Haridas in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is a living example of this very quality. Any other comments? Yes. Oh, you are here.
Yeah,
Very good.
Marvel. Extending on the question that this Prabhu asks, should we as devotees try to network more in whatever we do for work? Would this be promoted in ISKCON a little more? Network in whatever we do for a living to like serve each other more in that capacity? Because see, Prabhu is saying that people that are not devotees, they create bond by, if they are a businessman, if they run a grocery store, whatever it is they do, or if they play golf, should we as devotees, beyond the service and temple, should this be promoted in ISKCON for us to network more in our daily lives?
That is part of the social culture in terms of the Varnashram system. Because see, sometimes we tend to shy away from social cultural systems. But we live in societies. We live in a bigger world. And therefore, when the devotees have particular skills and they don't come together to network, people will not benefit so much because the people may not even know. Someone may be in need of that skill and they don't know that. You know, you have just a person. Oh, look, for instance, look, Governor Damita, he litigates all these cases in the courts, and a number of devotees don't even know that. You know, this is what she does for a living. She works for the university. This is what he does for a living. You have a problem, immigration problem or whatever, you can always see him. But how many devotees even know her?
But that's exactly my point, right? That in our society,
There's a need to
we
network.
need to promote this kind of practice
Sure.
a little more. So if I need a doctor, I should see a doctor within my community.
Yeah.
If I need an attorney or an architect, I should see someone within my community.
That is what it should be done. But sometimes we get to know too much and we neglect these social needs, which is not fair. It is harming our system. You made a very powerful point. It is harming our system. Because the things that we could do and, enhance our progress, our social progress and spiritual progress. But see, there was a case. I don't want to mention the city. I went to California. I went to California. I went to one temple, and this lady is a lawyer. Herself and the husband are the ones who invited me to come to their community. She's a lawyer from Harvard lawyer. But you know what? The temple has some problems, some legal problems, and they go to meet somebody else who is not having even our qualifications. So sometimes we can undermine people, and at our own detriment, we go and spend the money unnecessarily with people who are even less qualified than they are devotees. So yes, what the point you made is very, very, very important, very cogent. We should network more so that we can be at benefit in terms of our spiritual progress and community development. Yeah, it's a good point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the time is up, right? You don't want to say any last comment or questions? You feel free to ask me any questions, whether career-wise, devotional, management, leadership, whatever. Okay. Yes, Vilas.
Yes, I have a question. If you
Are you Vilas?
oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Let us speak first. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Connection to the same question and statement. It is something I learned from one of my children. And I find that in our movement, we got taken for granted as devotees. We do this to each other. And it's absolutely wrong.
We do what?
We take advantage of each other.
Okay.
So why I said that is my Prabhu said about networking, but also, and you mentioned they went out to pay the money outside and not pay attention towards the qualification is on the inside. And I learned this from my son, one in particular, but also Ganesh. His Guru, he said his Guru Maharaj said that also. But one time my son, he ordered some roti from me to sell at his church. He's a Christian. And that group of people are not familiar with roti. So he didn't make any profits. I told him not to worry about it. He said, no, Mom, you worked and you sent me the roti. If I took it from a stranger, I would have to pay for it. So I have to pay you for it. And it is, Ganesh said, his guru, His Holiness Radhanath Swami said, quite often we pay our family members and the devotee are also family members. We pay them less. We want to pay them less than what they're paying on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not it's not a good thing when we take people for granted. We should. You see, there's a concept in management science that business flourishes when family members members patronize and pay for it. Well, you can't take anyone for granted. If the person who you're getting the services from says that they will make some discount for you, it's a different thing. But then we shouldn't take people for granted. That's not a good deal. That is even it could spoil the relationship. Because if they realize that you're trying to exploit them, it's not very good. It's called financial abuse. I'm sorry. It's not good. We should guide against taking advantage of people. Okay, in the absence, okay, gentlemen, please. I'm sorry, please speak up.
Yeah, so my question was that if we treat everyone like a family, how would we execute the principle of Janasangha Tyaga and not get affected by their materialist nature?
Yeah, even our families, yeah, we love them, but we don't necessarily want to sacrifice our Krishna consciousness because a family member is not interested in Krishna consciousness, and they tell us don't go with these people, and then we say, well, I hear you, so I want to stop. So, bottom line is that it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita's model. He said, think of the person you love most, and aspire to treat everyone you encounter in the same way. So yes, even in the family, you may not love everyone in the way that you will love a particular person. So here, the emphasis is on the person you love most in your life. Think about that person and aspire to extend that type of love to the people you encounter. And this world can become so much transformed socially and spiritually. Yes, we have to be careful, even in the family. See, I'm talking about my own self. I have deeper relationships with my friends than family members. Families, my uncles, it's official relationship. Yeah, he loves me and I love them, but we don't go deep. For instance, I will not go to tell him, this is the course I want to do in my master's. This is the course I want to do in my undergrad. In fact, I didn't do that. In fact, even the university, when we were finishing from high school, I decided to go to a military university. I wanted to become a captain in the army or something like that. So that was what I was aspiring. My friends didn't like it, and we were three. We are so close. So my friend didn't like it, so he leaked it into my uncle. And that one, I can't say no to what he says. And then he called me over and said, this is what I heard you planning to do. You planning to go to the military university instead of regular university. Stop it. We don't want you to go to the military. So then I was mad with that friend. But, because he also didn't like it, so he wanted to leak this stuff. But the important thing is, you confide in people you love. And therefore, the emphasis of Bhagavad Swami is that we should think about the person we love most. Not that. Even in the family, there's someone in the family you love most. Think about that person and aspire to extend that quality of love to the people you encounter. In other words, if you make people feel free, if you give people quality time, they have some challenges and they come to you, you don't just wave them away that I'm very busy and all those type of things, which is a common thing. Anybody can say they're very busy. But one of the gaps we need to bridge is that we should stop this using busyness and as an excuse. Because everyone could claim to be busy. And who will take care, who will be responsible for bridging or for dealing with the challenges of our dependence? So if we love someone, we give them time. We give them quality time. We go out of our comfort zone to help people. Does it make sense? All right. Just in case you're feeling shy to ask your questions, Prabhu Vishnu has my phone number. Matanga has my phone number. Palika has my phone number. Vilas Mandaria and Paramananda also, they have my phone number. His Sona and his family, Sanathan and his family, they have my phone number. Rohini, a number of people here have my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm a down-to-earth guy. Forget about, the Swami dress. Forget about the Swami dress. Reach out to me anytime, man. I can help you in so many ways, professionally, devotionally, academically. If you're a student, you're doing your master's, you're doing your PhD. I have my PhD in applied management and decisions from Wally University in Minnesota. So I'm in a position to help you, apart from the devotional stuffs, to help you engender a progressive life, especially a life of integrating sadhana with your professional practice. Because sometimes, normal time, we meet people who say, I don't have the time to do 16 rounds. Why? Too busy with studies, too busy with work. By one of my friends, now he's insisting I should come and stay with him. When he was doing his MD, so I met him in Michigan, and I went to Detroit, and so he was following me all over the place, different programs. And one day in the car, he said, Maharaj, can I ask you a question? I said, come on. You're my friend. Feel free to ask me any question. He said, we medical doctors, we don't have the time to chant 16 rounds. I said, good for you. So I asked him, you think you're the first medical doctor in this International Society for Krishna Consciousness? I said, see, the home I stay in Washington, D.C., the man is a medical doctor, anesthesiologist. He's a medical doctor. They have 2 kids. They have to drive their children home. They have big deities. They have to conduct Mangalati every day before they go to work. What are you saying? Okay, let's analyze how you use your 24 hours. So we sat down to analyze how you use it 24 hours. Time for school, time for sleep, time for eating and bathing, every damn thing. At some point in time, he realized there's a chunk of time he couldn't account for. He was almost crying. He said, Maharaj, I'm sorry, I didn't use my time properly. He's finished his MD, he's working now. For long years, we never met. So we met in Pennsylvania. Now he's insisting, I should come and stay with him. I should come and stay with him. I said, see, if I come to stay with you, who is going to cook for me? Your wife? Your wife is not chanting 16 rounds. If you want me to come and stay with you, no problem. You're my friend. I love you. Your wife has to chant 16 rounds. So we're discussing on the phone. He was driving to the temple for a program. He was trying to reach out to me to talk, but I'd be busy running back and forth, coming back to the house late every day. So that day, that Sunday, I just decided, whatever the case may be, so I told the devotees in the program, they have to rush back to the house because I have some important communication to make. So we're talking. And you know what he told me? He wrote to me, he sent me, he WhatsApp me. He said, man, all the things you said are very true, and we'll work on it. But you know what? The good thing is I put the conversation, I put the phone on what do you call it?
Speaker.
Yeah, on speaker. So he said his wife was hearing everything you said. I said, but you're not a good guy. If suppose I said something funny, your wife would say, this Swami said this. Yeah. But the things I said were really, appealing to both of them. So yeah, you see, as Krishna consciousness is so sweet, we should not use excuses not to do sadhana, because no matter what you are, you can't be happy except you practice Krishna consciousness. I have friends who have 3 PhDs and they're not happy. Yeah, I remember in India, as I came from India recently. In India, I went to the conference, and one of the professors, he asked a question. During question and answer, this was what he asked me. He said, Dr. Das, see, you have a PhD, you're a prolific writer, you have over 35 publications in peer-reviewed journals, and all that you have to do is to be a Swami? Yeah, he told me that. Now, when you have a PhD, then the query is why you have to just be a Swami. If you don't have education, or because you don't have anything, that is why you take shelter of devotional life. You go this way, people will complain. You are on this side, people will complain. So I asked him, such, sir, are you happy with your life? With your PhD? As a professor, are you happy with your life? I know they are not happy. I know them. He didn't respond. So we should not think there is something else we have to do there that is more important than cultivating Krishna consciousness. This is the highest welfare service. And sometimes even the chanting, people think, oh, it's just too much. But people whom you don't even know, they are not your GBCs, they are not your temple presidents, they are not your regional directors, but they preach more than you out there. Some scientists, you don't know what they are doing. I remember, I keep getting all these messages. One of my mentees, I want to present a talk at their university in India. And then after that, he reached out to me and said, I want to give my life to Krishna. I said, finish the PhD first. He's finishing his PhD in a few months' time in finance. So he sent me, just yesterday, today, he sent me a WhatsApp message, a link to one publication. Some professors, they just finished a research that they conducted and published in one of these medical journals. And what is the research? The effect of chanting Hare Krishna on anxiety and depression from EEG or approach. They did a quantitative examination, quantitative approach. You don't know them, but they're preaching to high-profile people. They're using the same thing we're asking people to do to chant. They are preaching to the top class of people in society. They don't come to a temple and announce what I've done and how much donation I made and I built this temple and I built that. You don't even know them. There are people, proper soldiers. They are all over the place. They are doing their job. Oh, yeah, we should try our best. But to be able to try our best to the optimum, we need very good relationships in our movement. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay.